Hello, everybody, and welcome to Transformation Tuesday. If you're watching live, today is Tuesday, September the 29th. It's about 8 o'clock, and so I'd like to get started. If you join later on in the call, don't worry, we are recording this, and it will be on our YouTube channel. I'll email it to whoever registers today, and you can have a copy of it. Today's topic is going to be one that's near and dear to my heart, pun intended. We're going to talk about heartburn. And I'm not kidding. Heartburn is something that I've had literally since I was like 10 years old. I remember one time, the first time that it hit me, I was laying on the couch and all of a sudden I swore I was going to have a heart attack. I mean, it was just a pain in my heart. And I jumped up, I screamed. My mother came running. She started like rubbing my chest. And next thing you know, I let out this huge burp and I lived. And ever since then, man, without a doubt, heartburn has been my biggest health challenge and dealing and managing with heartburn. So I want to get into it. I'm not going to keep you guys long today. And of course, I want to pause at the very beginning because this is a topic that people take medication for. They're taking all kinds of things. So before pursuing any alternative treatment, discuss your options with your doctor. Your condition may require a more conventional approach. Okay, I'm a health coach. I'm not a doctor. I don't treat or diagnose illnesses, but we're going to be quoting some doctors in this webinar. My job today really is to plant a seed. If you deal with heartburn and if you suffer at all with GERD or acid indigestion and all this other kind of stuff, I want to probably tell you something today you've never heard before. And so what I want you to do is have this conversation with your doctor. If your doctor is completely opposed to it, I would say seek a second opinion. Because, when you deal with heartburn a lot, it's terrible. I mean, it's super uncomfortable. You don't enjoy your meals, and life is pretty miserable. I know it was for me for a long time. And as much as I have really fixed it, it's still occasionally a problem. So thank God your body, is such an incredible machine. It can regenerate cells and it can repair itself. But if you get to the point, you have ulcers or you really damage your esophagus, it's a little bit harder than obviously to repair it. So that caveat said, today's agenda, number one, I just want to really just show you how big the problem of heartburn is. Then we'll talk a little bit about what is heartburn, why does it keep coming back, the uncommon treatment. So that's going to be the big, the big surprise here for most of you, but probably not for everybody. And then, your next steps, some ways to maybe, that have worked for me to help manage it naturally. And if you want to look into, those options for yourself, again, you start with your doctor and you really just need to get involved in your health and wellness. I don't want you to go into your doctor, no matter how good he is, just take a prescription and leave. There is this, I could say, no medication that cures heartburn, at least not right now. Like many other medications, it's just meant to kind of soothe the symptoms. It's kind of meant so you can manage through the pain, really, but it's not curing what's causing the heartburn. Okay, so here we go. So how big is this problem? That was me at 10 years old, just holding my chest. 60 million people experience heartburn at least once a month, and 25 million experience symptoms daily. All right, gastroesophageal, close enough. Reflux disease, otherwise known as GERD, that's why there's an abbreviation. A more serious form of acid reflux is the most common digestive disorder. The most common, 10 to 20% of individuals experience symptoms at least once a week. And prevalence of GERD is increasing steadily. Now, these numbers you see in point 3 are from 2004, one in 2020. And the reason why I kept these is because it seems like it's been just steadily increasing, but definitely not going down in other numbers that I've seen. But this was, basically where we've been at. Drugs for acid reflux and GERD are cash cows for the pharmaceutical companies. Go figure. More than 60 million prescriptions for GERD were filled in 2004. Americans spent 13 billion on acid stopping medications. I think now it's somewhere around 25 billion. So I didn't have a great source to update these numbers, and I'm pretty sure a reason for that too. I think this information is being suppressed. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I'll tell you, I couldn't really find good numbers, moving forward. If you guys do, if you have other sources, definitely let me know. I'm, interested in it. But bottom line is 13 billion, 25 billion cash cow, 60 million prescriptions. It's a big money maker for pharmaceuticals. So Nexium, right? Most people have heard of Nexium. Some people have been on Nexium. The most popular brought in 5.1 billion alone, making it the second highest selling drug behind Lipitor, a cholesterol lowering drug, right? So these are the top two drugs in America. Now you may have heard, and these things are kind of ongoing, but Nexium and Prilosec are having lawsuits, and because people are really, I don't have again the statistics on damage and deaths, but the side effects have been severe enough, right? That there's this there's lawsuits out there, and they claim the long-term use of these drugs can increase the likelihood of strokes, bone fractures, acute kidney injury, renal failure, and heart damage. So in addition to not being a cure for heartburn, but a way to manage symptoms, there's these other really severe and detrimental side effects that you don't want. So I'm not a doctor, I'm not a clinician, but my boy Chris Kressler is. And I just want to say a caveat. I don't have Chris's permission per se. I'm sourcing him here and giving him all the credit for this information. And he's someone that I follow and someone that I'm very have a lot of respect for. You can look him up. The guy who writes books. He's just a superstar. And so again, while I'm not a clinician, some of the things I'm going to share with you are from him and from other doctors. He's not the only one that's explaining things this way. So what is heartburn? If I asked you what heartburn is, you would say, well, I have too much acid in my stomach and it refluxes, right? It goes back up into my GI tract and to my esophagus, and that's when I get the pain. But actually, heartburn is this reflux that occurs when gastric distension or stomach bloating and gas pushes stomach contents, including acid, through the lower esophageal sphincter. So the esophagus has a little door, and that's the LES. So it's not actually just the acid going up. It's why is the acid going up? It's going up not because you have too much acid. It's going up because there's gases and pressure in your abdomen, basically increase in intra-abdominal pressure. That's IAP. So you're increasing that pressure, you're increasing that gas, and that's what pushes the acid up. It's not because you have too much acid, the door's open and it all just goes back up. There's something that's pushing it up. Okay, understand? So why is that happening? Is really the question we should be asking. Well, here's what happens. Here's the magic, formula that I want to share with you, because based on what I just said, most people believe, like I always did my entire life, that I had too much acid in my stomach, and when I would lay down or when, whenever, it would just come back up. There's too much acid. It sounds right. I'm having too much acid, the acid gets reflux. But here's the thing, guys. How about if it's actually being caused because of low stomach acid? To some people, this is the first time you hear something like this and you think it's crazy, because it sounds, how can that even be, right? The doctors have been giving me antacids to lower my acid, and you're telling me now that it could very well be because of low stomach acid. So let me show you why. When you have low stomach acid, the acid is what kills the bacteria. All of these things we eat have bacteria. And when your stomach acid is below a certain point, it becomes more alkaline, less acidic, and so it's not killing the bacteria. Now, when that bacteria is alive, you're creating inflammation and you're creating gas and you're creating a lot of those problems. And then also HCl, the stomach acid, helps you with the absorption of carbohydrates by stimulating the release of pancreatic enzymes. So if the pH of the stomach is too high, it means it's alkaline, due to insufficient acid, the pancreatic enzymes will not be secreted and the carbohydrates will not be broken down. So you have a double whammy. The low stomach acid doesn't kill the bacteria, so there's bacterial overgrowth, and the low stomach acid doesn't digest the carbohydrates. This is what increases that pressure, okay? And when that pressure is increased, it creates the heartburn. It creates the reflux. It creates the acid to go back up. How about that? I mean, this is the science behind it. And I'm not like the doctor, so I'm not usually the sciencey guy. We talk about, you know, habits and goals and health, but digestion, people, digestion is everything. If you don't digest the minerals, no matter how many supplements you take, it's not going to help. If you're not properly digesting your food, you're never going to lose weight. The body actually gains weight sometimes because it's storing toxins in fat cells so that you don't die. Because if those toxins got into your blood and into your body, you wouldn't be able to handle it. All right. So you're gaining, a lot of times you're gaining weight because of these same toxins. So why does it keep coming back, right? Well, guess what? It is also well documented that acid-suppressing drugs promote bacterial overgrowth. Long-term use of Prilosec, one of the most potent acid-suppressing drugs, reduces the secretion of hydrochloric acid in the stomach to near zero. So I just finished telling you that low acid is what's creating this gas, right? Because of bacteria and the carbohydrates being, not being digested properly. Now we're lowering it even more. So the only thing you're getting out of it is maybe less pain and maybe, less occurrences of the pain, but you're making that environment much worse. You're making it worse. You're not even getting close to dealing with the cure. You're making everything worse. Okay. So here's another reason it doesn't add up. Numerous studies have shown that stomach acid secretion declines with age. In a study, researchers found that over 30% of men and women past the age of 60 suffer from atrophic gastritis, a condition marked by little to no acid secretion. Another study found that 40% of women over the age of 80 produce no stomach acid at all. So man, you're already having a lot of trouble, less stomach acid, and people are taking antacids for their for their acid reflux. So why are the doctors prescribing drugs that reduce acid? Ask your doctor, is it true? Does low stomach acid, can it create bacteria? Can it create, not releasing the enzymes, and I'm creating gas? And is the gas really what's pushing the acid back up into my, as a reflux? So, Chris and a guy named TC Hale, which I've sourced here as well, and quite a few other people, and more I'm seeing are starting to ask this question. So why the reflux? Why is that's things being pushed back up that door? And here's what he had to say. When we carefully test people over age of 40 who are having heartburn, indigestion, and gas, over 90% of the time we find inadequate acid production by the stomach. Listen to this. In 24 years of nutritionally oriented practice, I've worked with thousands of individuals who found the cause of their heartburn and indigestion to be low stomach acidity. In nearly all these folks, symptoms have been relieved and digestion improved when taking supplemental hydrochloric acid and pepsin capsules. I mean, I know that this is blowing some people's minds, because when the first time I heard it, it blew my mind. I was like, but it's simple science. And that's what is so frustrating, because really the medical profession, should at least have both sides of this, story, to share with you. So what I'm talking about today is treating the cause. What you've been doing till now is treating the symptoms, as most medications do. Now, a doctor may have to treat symptoms while you're fixing the cause, but they're not really telling you how to fix the cause in most cases. So here's to summarize: low stomach acid contributes to bacterial overgrowth in the bowel, which in turn can lead to carbohydrate malabsorption due to decreased pancreatic enzymes. So that double whammy kind of works hand in hand. So reducing bacterial loads and limiting carbohydrate intake have both been shown to greatly improve, and in some cases completely cure, acid reflux and GERD. Completely cure. There you go, cure. So there isn't one thing about antacids in here. It's about having the right amount of acid in your stomach to kill the bacteria and to not allow this carbohydrate malabsorption, so that there is no gas and so that it's not pushing back up the acid into your esophagus. Guys, this changed my life, and I'm going to show you how I did it. Now, if you want to learn more about this method, there's a website called Kick It Naturally, and this is the author and health coach, TC Hill. I've actually had some email interaction with him. He's a super funny guy. He's working on a movie right now about why we are so fat. The guy is a fountain of knowledge. His story is really great. He was super sick. He was sick to the point where he couldn't even speak. He lost his speech. And, he just kept being an advocate for his own health, and just, same way a doctor can learn, you can learn. I mean, you're not going to be certified. You can't treat anybody, but, it's out there, so you want to obviously vet everything, with a doctor, with a professional, with a guy like this. So I'm just telling you what I did. Again, everything that you do has to be approved by a doctor. But what I did was add HCl, hydrochloric acid tablets, to my meal. So in the middle of your meal, you would take a, hydrochloric acid tablet. 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 5. 5 was the max. You're kind of looking for this warm feeling and sensation in your stomach. That's when you know that's enough, and 5 is the max. And one of the things that TC Hill explains that a lot of other people don't is adding beet flow to improve the bile. The way your stomach digests the food, actually, so it's kind of acidified in the stomach, and then it moves into your lower intestine. And right there, the pancreas drops bile on it. And it's kind of like a chemical, it's an explosion. It literally kind of explodes the food. And that's how it turns into minerals and vitamins, that things that your body can absorb. So when both things aren't happening right, you can either have, the constipation or the diarrhea. And, the constipation of food that's not broken down is going to lead to really, it's garbage, it's festering. It's creating terrible things. I mean, it's bad. And we've all been there at some time, but you don't have to live that way. So this was the treatment. It was the adding acid, adding beet flow to improve the bile, and then digestive enzymes, which is what pepsin capsules are, but there's also digestozyme that he explains in his course or in his website, which kind of has a mixture of things. So that changed my life. I didn't even need to do it for a long period of time, to be honest. I did it for like 3 months, and I was like, I didn't get heartburn. Now, there are some foods that relax that sphincter, supposedly coffee and alcohol and chocolate, and also just, I have some other natural, treatments here. Chew your food. The average person chews their food 3 times and is swallowing. So when you're swallowing these bigger chunks, you're going to definitely create more problems because it's harder to break down. Digestion starts in your mouth. The saliva generates everything down here. So it wants to start creating acid. It wants to get ready for the food. So if you take just a couple bites and you didn't prime the pump, right? You didn't get the stomach ready. And so you're going to have much more trouble digesting your food. Limit processed foods, right? And processed foods have just a lot more toxins and a lot more junk. Now, ice cream for me is a tough one. If I eat ice cream late and, forget laying down. So, typically if you have any kind of, issues with that anyway, don't lay down for 3 hours after a meal. That's why you shouldn't eat so late anyway. Eating fermented vegetables, kimchi, sauerkraut, pickles, they're a little bit more acidic. So they're they tend to help. Apple cider vinegar, same kind of thing. And ginger tends to, help with the symptoms as well. So there's some, natural treatments here, but, this is really just part of maintaining, a good digestion, maintaining, someone who's already kind of fixed the problem of the acid reflux. But I'm just going to go up here because this is where it starts, so I want you guys to do your homework. Don't take my word for it. Here are the sources. I have links to exactly what I use for this program, for this presentation. Kickitnaturally.com. TC Hale is great. He has a couple podcasts I listen to all the time. The information is half the battle. The action is the other half. You got to take action. So have this consultation with your doctor. If you're on a couple of these meds, you saw some of the side effects, you saw, the lawsuits, you don't want to live on the medication. I know you don't. I'm just saying. This especially, all right? So, do your homework, check out some of these links. If you want a copy of the entire presentation, please email me, john@uplevelliving.com. It'll also be, on our social media and YouTube channel as well. So that's really all I have for you guys. I appreciate you, watching this, sharing this. And definitely emailing me. I'm accessible. Don't be afraid to email me if you have some questions. If you're in the Boca Raton or West Palm Beach area and you want to, another doctor to look at you, reach out to me as well. I work with some great clinicians in both offices. They'd be happy to see you and maybe be a second opinion or just another consultation for you to, consider some options. Okay. Thanks a lot. Have a great Transformation Tuesday. And until next week, my name is John Garcia. Good night.